What's going on, everybody? I'm here with one of our Road Warrior clients, Jackson, and I'm going to go ahead and ask him a few questions regarding his experience in our Road Warrior Wellness Program. Jackson, could you start by telling everybody how long you've been driving truck for and what type of driver you are?
Yeah, you bet, man. I've more or less, Devin, been driving all my life. Grew up in the truck with my dad since I was just a little guy. Once I got old enough to drive, that's always been a part of my life. Full time, probably the last 10 years since I was about 20, 26, 27 years old is when I segued from, kind of partially trucking, partially ranching cattle out here in Montana to full time trucking. And we haul 90% of what we haul is cattle. So a lot of long hours on the road, high miles, pretty intensive cargo, and it can take a toll on your health, as has been evidenced over the last 10 years for me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I know you only been in the program for about 4 weeks, but can you tell us a little bit about your experience and what you've been able to achieve in that amount of time?
Yeah, you bet. So overall, let me start with kind of what my issues were. When we haul cattle, we haul in very intense periods, meaning that once you're loaded, you go, whether it's a 12-hour run or a 24-hour run, you have live animals in the back, and so you got to go. And as a consequence of that, more or less your health takes a backseat to everything else. I mean, you're having to stay awake till you get to where you're going so that you can unload and get the livestock on feed and water, because that's the humane thing to do for these animals. And you find yourself, just taking a backseat, your health taking a backseat to anything that you do. And so over the years, for me, you gain a little weight in the busy season and kind of try to lose it off when things would slow down. But as you get older, you become a little less interested maybe in losing that weight off and whatnot. So over the course of 10 years, I'd kind of just found myself what I felt like was about, 20 pounds or so heavier than what I felt comfortable with. And so being able to get hooked up with you guys and get in a program that would fit my trucking lifestyle, you see, because prior to this, my methods were, if you have a month off where you're going to be slow, like starve yourself down, do a bunch of crazy cardio, just go wild and see if you can just melt it off real fast, because you never know when it's going to get busy again and you're going to be back on the road and starting the whole cycle over. And that's what I've done. And I mean, it's worked for me. I've got the weight off, sort of, bouncing back and forth, but it's not a healthy, good way to live my life. So getting hooked up with you guys and learning how food intake works, what foods you can eat or should eat, and what foods are basically empty, worthless foods that are not only not going to give you any kind of energy and health, but are actually going to cause you to gain weight at the same time. I just hadn't put on, I mean, yeah, candy bars and stuff are bad for you, but I just didn't really ever dig into the science behind how all that works until we got together.
Awesome. And would you recommend our program to other truck drivers? And if so, what would be some words of encouragement that you might give to them?
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. And here's why. Here's the main reason why I would recommend this. My biggest battle, and I know that my battle is the same as many of my friends and peers around me, is that due to the fact we're hauling really hardcore with these cattle, one of the small little excitements that you can experience on the road is getting to eat. That's about all that's left when you're out there. You're tired, you're hurting, you're missing home. But the one little thing that could bring you some joy for a while is eating whatever you want, which typically ends up being junk. And even that, after a few months, loses its luster. So that was the biggest thing that I struggled with, was having control over what I was going to eat. I'd go in the truck stop late at night and was completely controlled by whatever urge or desire that I would see in front of me. Oh, well, there's some, some Twizzlers, or there's a Snicker bar, or whatever it may be. That was the only thing that was going to make me happy that night, because I've been on the road, been gone for, weeks from home, and I'm tired. And at this point, you don't even care about the money that you're making anymore. You're just over it. And that's when it gets really bad. Your food really, 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 really gets bad, because you're trying to find that joy. So I found myself pretty well entirely out of control, as far as what I would eat. I was just owned by whatever looked good to me at 2 in the morning, as I was trying to find a little burst of energy to get that load punched in. Um, it's been by far the most surprising and at the same time wonderful thing for me, was doing this program. In the course of the month, I've gained complete control back over my urges and desires for food. I can now go in the truck stop late at night. I can fuel my truck up, and I can walk by whatever snack aisle it is and kind of and realize that I don't want that anymore. I don't want that. I've now found more joy, rather than from those snack foods that are bad. My joy now is in that I feel better as I'm down the road, and I can physically see, I'm seeing the changes majorly. And so that's why I would recommend this, is because I know that the vast majority of truckers out there have no control over the fork, so to speak. We're owned by what's in front of us. And it's a hard thing to admit, but I'm here to admit it. I was completely controlled by that. And this has given me the tools and the ability to win back my station, in being able to eat what I want, with purpose, and not be controlled by those urges.